Okay, we're going to be talking today about lesson 104, turning mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay, so typically what we've been doing recently is when we get a mixed number or an improper fraction, we turn it into a mixed number. However, we're going to start by doing some concepts like adding and multiplying mixed numbers where we have to have our numbers as improper fractions first. So let's look first at example number 1. Okay, here we have 2 whole circles and half of a circle. So we would write that as the mixed number 2 and 1/2. But I want to turn this into an improper fraction. So the way that I do that is my denominator has to be the same for each of my wholes. I have to turn this whole into half and this whole into half. So when we, half. So if I were to look at this and to count, I would see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 halves. So if I had a picture and I was able to write on it, count it, and add it up, I would get 5 halves. But we don't always have that luxury. Sometimes we need to take 2 1/2 and we need to figure out how to make that into an improper fraction without doing a whole lot of drawing pictures. So let's look at the 2 1/2 again. Okay, we have 2 and 1/2. Now here's how this is going to work. I know that each of my wholes equals 2 halves. And I have 2 of them, so I have 2 halves, and then I have another 1/2. So I know that when I add fractions, my denominator doesn't change. It's still a 2, but I can add my numerators. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So there again I get 2 halves plus 2 halves plus 1/2 equals 5 halves. So this 2 halves represents this up here. This 2 halves represents this one here. And this 1/2 left over is the half right there. Okay, we'll talk about another shortcut here in just a minute. Let's move on to example 2. Okay, change 2 and 1/3 to an improper fraction. So let's start by drawing some pictures here. So I know that I have 2 wholes and I have a third of another. Okay, so here's my third, here's my whole, and here's my second whole. I have 2 and a third. So I want to change this to an improper fraction. Well, I know that this equals 3/3, and this whole equals 3/3, and this piece equals 1/3. So if I was to add these up, again, my denominator doesn't change because my denominator must be the same when adding fractions. And then I get 3 plus 3, which is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So my improper fraction is 7/3. But now let's look quickly at another way to do this. Let's say I have 2 and 1/3. I'm going to multiply my denominator times my whole number. So denominator times whole number, and then I'm going to add my numerator. So that looks like 3 times 2 wholes will tell me I get 6 wholes plus my 1/3 left. So 6 plus 1 equals 1 equals 7. So this is how many pieces I have, and then we put that back over the denominator to get 7/3. So 2 and 1/3 equals 7/3. Okay, we'll look at this again on example 3. Okay, so example 3. Multiply 1.5 times 2 3/4. In order to multiply a mixed number, you have to change it to an improper fraction first. So let's start by rewriting our problem. 1.5 times 2 3/4. So let's start with our first number, 1.5. Following the formula I just gave you, we can do the denominator times the whole number plus the numerator, and we put all of that over the denominator. So that means 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 equals 3, and we put all of that over the denominator of 2. So 1.5 equals 3/2. We're going to multiply that by 2 3/4, which we again need to turn into a mixed number. So denominator times whole number plus the numerator over the denominator. So denominator 4 times the whole number 2 equals 8. 8 plus the numerator of 3 equals 11 over the denominator of 4. And now we have two improper fractions that we can multiply. So multiply the numerators. 3 times 11 equals 33 over 2 times 4, which equals 8. And now I have another improper fraction, which now I need to reduce. I know 8 goes into 33 4 times, leaving 1 left over. So I reduce it down into a mixed number to get my answer of 4 1/8. Okay? All right, let's look at example 4. Okay, Cleon prepared 2 1/4 cups of liquid plant food for his plants. How much mixture should each of the 9 plants receive if each plant is to receive the same amount? Okay, so we have 2 1/4 cups for 9 plants, and each plant is to receive the same amount. So this tells me I'm going to divide. Okay, so hang on just a sec. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to change 2 1/4 into a mixed number. So let's start by writing out 2 1/4 cups divided by 9. Okay, we have a couple things going on here in this problem. Let's start with the mixed number. 2 1/4 we change into 4 times 2, denominator times whole number equals 8, plus the numerator equals 9 over the denominator of 4. Okay, divided by 9, and we turn this into a fraction over 1. But now I know that when I divide a fraction, I actually multiply by the reciprocal. Remember, you only change the divisor, only the second number. So 9/4 times 1 over 9 equals 9/36, which reduces to 1/4. Now I need to go back to my problem. Cleon prepared 2 1/4 cups of liquid plant food for his plants. How much of the mixture should each of the 9 plants receive? So each plant is going to get 1/4 cup of food. What? Of food. Okay? Make sure you go back to the original problem and get the correct units. Okay? All right, that's it. Off to your lesson practice. I'll see you in the morning.